And then we'll find out. Are you muted on your end for
Uh,
the video? Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds, hanging out with Robert Bevan today, and we're going to be talking about some comedy, some Dungeons and Dragons, and whatever else may come up. I think. Um, how are you doing today, sir? By nerds. How are you doing today, Rob?
wait, are you talking to me?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm hearing what you just said again.
If you have the watch page open,
That's what it is.
that's
Okay,
what
let
you're
me
going to
close that.
hear.
All right, I was so confused. I thought somebody else was talking.
What happened? We got hacked. Nah, I've done it numerous times myself. It's an occupational hazard for sure.
All right. To answer your question, I'm doing well, thank you. And yourself?
Good, good. So, I see your books on Amazon all the time. Now I've got you on the show. I'm going to have to go pick some up and check them out. And I was reading your bio. So the premise for your books is adding comedy to basically D&D is what I gather.
Pretty much, yeah.
So you want to start off and kind of tell us what you've done and give us like the 5-minute elevator pitch?
It's a long elevator ride. I yeah, just 2000 summer of 2012. I just got this wild hair up my ass idea. Wouldn't it be fun if or I was actually in a long running D&D game with some friends, and we're all mid 30s, married guys, and like drunken man children. And I thought, well, what if we were thrown into this game for real? How would we do? And we'd do really poorly, and that would make an interesting premise for a book. And I wrote it, and it was called Critical Failures.
So your stories, are they loosely based off of the stuff you guys do in game, or is it you just kind of extrapolated from there?
The first scene where they start actually playing the game at the beginning of the first book, I borrowed from one of the from a piece of a campaign that we were in. Any of you who have read it, the Big Black Men Here is from a campaign. But after that, it's pretty much I let the characters run with the story.
Now you also do a podcast, Authors and Dragons.
Authors and Dragons. Yeah, I guess that's similar in a lot of ways. That's just me and 5 or 6 other authors playing a game of Pathfinder and recording it. And we do at least as poorly as the characters in my books.
Sounds like something to aspire to. How long have you guys been doing the podcast?
Oh man, if any of them are listening, I should know this. At least 2 years, maybe a little bit more than that. No, yeah, definitely more than that. 2 and change, maybe even 3. I don't know. A little while.
Forever. We've been just playing this game forever and ever. It feels like. So are you guys still playing?
Oh yeah, we play every other week. They go live on Wednesdays, and yeah, it's only starting to snowball now, gaining popularity.
What level are the characters and how many players you got over there?
Well, I think it's the game master is Drew Hayes, and I want to say we have 5 players. Let me run through it. There's me, John Hartness, Rick Gualteri, Steve Wetherill, Joseph Brassi. Yeah, I think that's it. Sorry for whoever I might have forgotten, but I don't think I did.
You've only playing with them for a couple of years anyway. You guys play over Skype, you said?
Yes.
Yeah. Are you guys still playing the same campaign, the same Pathfinder campaign?
Yes.
Do you dabble into any other systems?
No, not yet. We've talked about it, but yeah, we got a good thing going right now. So, and I've got the time. I'd like to play other things, but uh, it's with everybody having families and other things going on in their lives, it's difficult to get everybody together as often as we do.
No, I totally get that. I mean, for our in-person games, that's always been the struggle as we get older and accumulate more responsibilities and start doing more adulting. It just gets harder and harder to get everyone together, and also I think it gets really more difficult for the GM to keep a story going, under those conditions as well. We found that for our own game, one of the things that's really has really helped out has been like we switch, like, so me and another one of our group will switch off GMing, and we only do it like once a month, but we're still playing twice a month, as
Right.
well as then we would rotate like a third person out that would just run a different system for us.
Yeah, Drew, I don't envy the job he has running our campaign, but to our credit, we do keep things moving along by constantly going off course. And I can't imagine he has more than like 3 pages of planned material that we've veered in and out of over the past few years.
So how long have you been gaming?
I started around when I was maybe 12. Yeah, I think 12 when and then I played Dungeons and Dragons, and I think I might have started at 2nd edition, and then I dabbled in Top Secret. Are you familiar with that?
Top Secret is the game that killed any idea of ever doing anything romantic in a tabletop role-playing game for me. So you could say yes.
Yeah. Okay.
The first time there was ever a romantic scene introduced into a tabletop role-playing game for me, it was Top Secret, and she was a counter spy wearing knockout lipstick. So,
All right.
Ever since that, I'm like, fuck that. It's a succubus or a spy.
So I dabbled, or I went, spent a little time going back and forth between Top Secret and Dungeons and Dragons, and then I guess it was around college, or we got into 3rd edition, and then I just dropped off for like a decade or so or more, and then I got a job teaching English in South Korea. Lived there for, well, it ended up being like 14 years, but I was with a group of other expat teachers, and we'd go out to bars and drink, but then we got married, and getting into trouble, and it was getting expensive, and then conversations started repeating themselves, and so we thought, you guys feel like playing D&D? And so next time I visited the United States, I grabbed all my old books and brought them back to Korea, and we started. That was our means of getting drunk on Friday nights, and so that was my renaissance, I suppose.
Well, even now we hear that a lot. People coming back to the hobby that have been out of it for, like you said, a decade or decades, as the case may be, which is really cool. I like that. So who broached the subject of playing D&D?
I think that was me.
One drunken night, you're like, we could be doing something meaningful while we drink, like roll funny shaped dice and play make believe.
Right. And it worked so well.
So were the other people you were hanging out with, were they any of them actually gamers, or were they newbies?
About half and half.
So some of them are like, hey, I haven't played that in a long time, and some of them are like, what are you talking about?
Right. Yeah.
Are you trying to introduce us to the Devil's Playground? Yes, I am. So how long did that go on for?
Probably we had kind of a falling out, and then I think that was about a year before I moved back to the United States.
And And was that kind of what got you into writing?
Well, no, because I wanted to write. That's what got me into writing this. What I ended up writing. But what got me into writing was I got married, and shortly after I got married, I had to like choose between staying married and or continuing to play World of Warcraft. So I canceled my subscription.
I've heard of WoW Widows before, so
Yeah. So,
Warriors.
but I would play in my office at work, and I had all this, between classes, I didn't have enough time to like go back home or anything, but I had enough time to do something, and I used to spend that playing WoW. But then I decided to fill that time with something more productive, and I wrote an entire novel that I never did publish because it was garbage, and then just to see if I could write a novel. But then, like when I was writing the last chapter of that, that's when I had my idea. What if we got thrown into the game world? And so I hurried up and typed out the end of my garbage novel and started writing Critical Failures.
So guys, if you have questions, feel free to ask them. Just put question in front of it, so they're easy for us to pick out. Shatman Bill, do you just play when you have writer's block?
No, I don't actually play at all right now. I recently moved to the Atlanta area, and I don't know anybody here, and I haven't gotten a
well, you're still playing on the podcast.
Oh, all right, I guess that counts. But no, that's got nothing to do with writer's block. That's
that's going to happen no matter what.
Right.
So, are you looking to get in more gaming, or
where you're at? I like to think I am looking, but with all I got going on right now, I don't know if I'd be able to make a time commitment. So it's one of those things. I'd like to do that someday.
So you have a collection of short stories. You said 6 novels you've written.
5 have been released. I'm editing the 6th right now.
Okay. Do you self-publish everything?
Yes.
What advice would you give to someone that wants to basically do what you're doing? Right, and self-publish.
I mean, jump in and swim. That's I'm sorry, I don't have anything too profound there, but
well, no, that's fine, because we've often given that advice as well for people who want to start doing what we do, and it's like, well, instead of if you spend forever thinking about it, it's easier to just get in there and do it.
And that's the nice thing about self-publishing, that if it doesn't work out, then okay, but if you do hit something good, then awesome. Like, and any advice you get, I do a lot of things contrary to the conventional wisdom that's often given. Like they told me, don't make your own cover, but I had this idea. I just want a big ass black D20 on my cover. That I know what I want. That's gonna catch gamer eyes, and that's who I want. And I say, don't put profanity on your cover, but no, it's definitely got to say, shit is about to get real. And I mean, that serves 2 purposes. I like that as a tagline, and it in theory dissuades people who would be offended by that from reading it.
Well, that's a good point. Like, offend them right off the bat, so this way they don't buy your book, and then you have to hear about their being offended.
Exactly. It still happens though.
I'm sure. Bob Evans, question: how do you come up with your wacky antics? And I'm going to guess this is stuff from your books, like the giant dildo or Jillian's house, horses.
The horse thing, it happened once, and then later it happened again, and I said, if I'm gonna reuse this, I'm just gonna go ahead and make it a running gag. The dildo, I don't know, that just popped into my head.
That wasn't from something from one of your games.
No. Well, I mean, it might have. I mean, something similar might have happened, but it wasn't purposely from one of the games, at least.
We cannot deny, nor can we confirm that this
Right.
may or may not happen in one of those games.
Oh, the dildo. Good times.
Well, I see you're keeping it classy in there.
Yeah.
So it's all right. I just actually read my like first comedy kind of D&D fantasy novel, Morningwood. And I should say,
I've seen that popping up on the charts near mine. I haven't read that yet.
or I should say I listened to it. I tend to listen to everything anymore. And I just shared it on our Facebook page one time because I just thought it was ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Then I read it and I'm like, I read what it was. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to listen to this, and it was actually pretty funny. So, yeah. So maybe, yeah. I mean, I guess I'm going to put your books on my list next to listen to. I will say with the covers though, it does attract gamers, but I think it's hard to like. It doesn't convey what your books are about.
Yeah, it makes it look kind of dark, and I was kind of going for that too because I kind of wanted that to be like a left hook.
Yeah, yeah.
But it is what it is.
So, so you're about. What is the title of the sixth book that is about to come out?
Originality here coming your way. Critical Failures 6. No, but the tagline underneath is going to be the good, the bad, and the neutral.
Okay, cool. I'm kind of like playing with the chat here as I talk with you. I remember, guys, if you have questions, feel free to ask them. So how long have you been writing now? For with your book series?
Yes, I published the first one in I think June or July of 2012, and so probably since the beginning of 2012, if you can, taking into account the time it took to write.
Oh, so you're doing almost a book a year then?
I'm aiming for that. This one, book 6, has been kind of a monster. It's right now it's at least like twice the length of the first book, so that's taking me a bit longer to write and edit.
So, and these are all an ongoing series. Do you have any ideas beyond that, or are you just going to kind of keep running with this?
Well, I'm going to run with this until either I run out of ideas or people stop buying it, or I figure there's 20 sides on this die. I can keep going for a while. And I thought, the characters have been leveling up about a level per book. So I've been taking that progression slow. I thought, 20 sides on the die and, level 20 being the the full range of level of standard levels. Could see what happens like at mid-level and high-level adventures if I can keep things original.
So how many D&D-isms do you kind of like pack into your books?
I mean, it's the whole book. But I mean, that's all part of the humor. They're not only having like fantasy adventures, they're having specific problems related to like wonky D&D rules, like affecting the physics of the game world.
So like you bring in like a lot of like the metagamey kind of stuff.
Exactly. Yes.
Nice. So how many characters are you writing for right now?
Too many. It's getting kind of crowded in there. The first book's got the 4 core characters, and then an older sister, her friend, like boyfriend, but not really. And that's pretty much it. And then as the series progresses, more characters come into play.
So it doesn't sound like you're going to get tired of writing for these characters anytime soon.
No, not yet. And I certainly don't get tired of eating.
Well, there's always that. Yeah. But, sometimes people like to, expand out and do other things.
I am doing a couple of other things. Right now, I wrote a book this doesn't really count because it's just a one-off little thing so far. But back during, I don't know if you're aware of the Hugo Award controversy with the sad puppies and all that nonsense.
No.
But I wrote a like a Star Wars parody called Space Puppies just to poke fun of that. And then
Did you publish it?
oh yeah,
Then it counts. Then I would say that definitely counts.
And then just recently, more recently, the Authors and Dragons group and I started releasing our own brand of like horror comedy short stories. Well, not too short, like more like novellas. It's called Shingles, and
Okay.
if you look at the covers, you might be reminded of a different series of horror comedy books having to do with a skin condition. Goosebumps.
So KB question, probably gonna kill it for this. No, I think this is a fair question. Okay, as a person who's never read one of your books, could you give me a short tale that would catch my interest?
Okay, I got one. In fact, I use this in ads. What if you and your friends got to live the game for real? What if you and your friends were assholes? That's my pitch.
That sounds like a couple of the gaming groups I've been in. or at least if I'm in the group, I know there's at least one asshole in there. So it kind of keeps it real. So are there any specific like stories from your gaming days that you're like, yeah, this is absolutely going into one of my books, and you've done that?
Like I said, the only thing was the joke with the big black men here at the beginning of the first book.
Sojo Seed, why is there so much shitting in the books? Some of the things they're asking, I'm like, is that something that they're taking right from your books, or are they just being rude?
No, that's right from the books.
As always, guys, in the description, you can find a bunch of links. There is no need to Google search. We got social media links, website links, Amazon links, and of course, if you go to an Amazon link and you buy anything, or most of the time, if you buy something from one of our links, there's a good chance we made some money on that. Just as a disclaimer, because much like you, sir, I also like to continue eating, and so do my kids. They want freaking 3 meals a day. Can you believe that? Outrageous.
Indeed. Answer to the question, for charisma.
For charisma?
Yeah.
That's why it's in the book. There you go. So do you have a favorite character out of the characters that you write for?
Yeah, the like the normal favorite for the fans is Cooper, and he's the one that does all the shitting. But I don't know. I think my favorite might be maybe. Actually, I had a favorite. Now I forgot. Right now, the most fun I enjoy writing is Catherine.
So, what race and class are they?
All right. Tim is a halfling rogue. Dave is a dwarf cleric. Julian is an elf. Starts off as a wizard, but then he switches over to sorcerer because he didn't actually have a very high intelligence score. And then Cooper is a half orc barbarian with a charisma score of 4.
So I'm just imagining, like in the game, that the wizard is someone saying the wizard's like, you're not really that smart. Maybe you should try this instead. But yeah. You're pretty. So maybe this magic will work for you better.
Right. It says, what does charisma have to do with sorcery? I don't know.
It's your personal power. So Ben Evans, any hints as to what happens to Tim? It's driving me crazy.
I'm doing the edits for CF6 as fast as I can. There are answers in there. So, and no is, I guess, the more direct answer.
So Sojo sees he's very concerned with bodily fluids. And it's funny because we play a Marvel Phase Rip game. I don't know if you remember that game from the 80s.
No,
Um,
that.
but that the bodily fluids came up a lot in that game, as well as, hobos would always try to either urinate or defecate on our brave heroes.
I mean, yeah, you might as well be describing the Caverns and Creatures series now.
Well, in that game, it's kind of we kind of have a interactive chat, so they can add stuff to the story that's going on, and that tends to be the stuff they like to add.
Sure.
It's evolved or devolved, as the case may be, to where they have their own game going on in the chat, and they're all playing animals. So, and now there's a rat mech running around in the game. Things got a little out of hand.
As they do.
Of Brian Smith, what is the proper ratio of dick jokes to non-dick jokes in a session of D&D? It's whatever your group can tolerate.
Yeah, really. It really depends on the group.
Obviously, you want to match your fuckery to the seriousness of your group and what people actually want to get. See, it comes back to session zero, right? When you guys get together and decide what you're going to do and what kind of game you're going to play. And other people who may not be interested in that kind of stuff can either bow out or you guys can compromise somewheres.
Yeah, I've had session zeros where the players just freaked me the hell out. And, never went for a session one.
Yeah, we did what during one of ours. I don't know how it came up. I don't know why it came up, but cannibalism. Someone is like, I don't want cannibalism in the game. I'm like, okay, we can accommodate that. And this was a big deal. This was a big issue. Are people running around eating each other?
Yeah, and I would never thought to make that stipulation.
But I feel like too nowadays, like the gaming groups are becoming more diverse, and there's a wider range of people that are playing the game.
Yeah, cannibals are accepted.
Yeah, I have not found the social circle yet where they are.
We have a long way to go.
Oh my God. So Duel 810. How would you deal with players who consistently crack jokes even in serious situations and never feel the room? I'm curious what you have to say about this one.
I don't know. I probably wouldn't be in that group. I tend to be a less. Well, I don't know. No, I take that back because I have been in gaming sessions where we're actually like everybody's paying attention and there's actual tension building. It's like, oh, all right, this is what it's supposed to be like. And then somebody's being a dick off in the corner and either like trying to break the tension or goofing off on their phone or something. And what do? I don't endure it.
Quietly suffer.
I can't kick them in the nuts or anything.
It's just one of those things. Like you can pull them off to the side and say, "Hey, what's going on?" Or "Are you bored?" Or you can talk. As always, it's just you got to.
Yeah, there are probably better options than just enduring it because those are the games where those probably only lasted a few more sessions before the group just fell apart anyway.
Yeah, I mean the key is real with anything is just trying to have tact and maybe pulling them aside after the game and having a talk. Either one of the players or the GM, and trying to figure out if there's something going on that this can be remedied. And it's always better too, like if you can kind of like phrase it in a way where it doesn't seem like you're just picking on them, but but ask them if there's a problem that can be solved for them, and and depending on what response you get from that angle, then you're going to immediately know what kind of person you're dealing with and whether or not you're going to be able to resolve this or not. And sometimes people just have different play styles, and find people, either you or they should find people to play with that are going to play the game the way you play it. Because if you have everybody trying to do their own thing, it tends to be counterproductive.
Sure.
So but it sounds like you guys probably play a lot of like more beer and pretzel style games, which there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, at this point in my life, that's what I'm looking for.
Fantasy Grounds College, thanks for the super chat and just letting us know they're here. Much appreciated. So, do you guys play across Skype? Do you guys use Theater of the Mind, or do you guys use a virtual tabletop? Because I know in the thing things get unveiled.
We use Roll20.net.
Okay. Because I was listening a little bit this morning, and there was definitely certain points the DM's like, okay, you're all pretty much here now. I can show this thing. I think it was the tavern when you guys were meeting in the tavern, and the one player is a bard. He goes up to the bartender or the barkeep, and he's like, hey, clearly you have a stage and you need a performer. And there's no stage in here. Well, clearly there's a space where there should be a stage. Like I said, it sounds like you guys have a lot of fun with that game.
Yeah, we do. We were discussing. Somebody had suggested that we play weekly instead of bi-weekly, or no, semi-weekly. No, which one? We play every other week, and somebody suggested we start playing weekly, and I was all over that. But like I said, we're all busy writing, families, other things going on in our lives. So, but yeah, I have fun with it, and you can tell the other guys do too.
So Ben Evans wants to know, how can you, a complete noob with no friends interested, start playing D&D? I mean, in this day and age, there's so many ways. Fantasy Grounds College, they have a Discord set up, and I think a website set up where they teach people how to use Fantasy Grounds, and they connect people over there. There's places in outside of Fantasy Ground College at Fantasy Grounds to connect, I believe. There's also places on Roll20. Any virtual tabletop you find, you're probably going to find a community that's built up around that. You can go to your local gaming store, and they might have an Adventure League. I'm sure there's an Adventure League website where you can see where the Adventure League is being played. There's meetups that happen for D&D. There is, either that or, try and convince your friends to play. So there's like so many different ways to play D&D in this day and age. Like when I was a kid, you only got into it if someone else was into it. Mm-hmm. Usually it was like one of your friends' older brother or something played, and then they the torch just kind of got passed.
Right.
There's groups on Facebook where they form groups and do one shots. I imagine any place where people gather on the internet, there is probably a group there for people getting to get together and gaming. If you poke around, you're definitely going to find those places. And let's see, we got Wilder Smith is commenting on, I was telling you how we're dealing with some technical issues earlier, and I was running some tests, and the tech was completely failing me because the tests I were running were supposed to be private and they went public. So you guys saw me with bedhead and in my bathrobe hanging out with you guys. AJ Kinney, you just fooled me with your question in front of question to make sure Dave sees it, because I saw the question in front. So it absolutely works. So KB, you've caught my interest with what hold on a second. Sometimes the way the chat's worded. You've caught my interest with what if it was real. Have you ever thought to give a character the all-powerful character sheet as a magic item?
They actually they went into the game with their character sheets. Not as a magic item. It's like kind of a quasi magic item. They can't do anything with it except look at what's on it. But there is something that happens in the first book where one of the sheets has a pretty profound effect on one of the characters because of a mistake he had written on it before they jumped into the game.
Oops.
Yeah.
Elfbait has a suggestion for people looking to find a game, and that's leave your books out on your desk at work, and you will find the gamers where you work. So it's like bait, gamer bait.
Or leave my books out on your desk.
There you go. The gamers will get the reference. Question from Cody Sams. I noticed you have audiobooks out. Do you get to pick who narrates, or does somebody else make the decision?
Well, no, that's a nice thing about self-publishing. I get to choose. In fact, another story, I didn't have any idea how big a thing audiobooks were until my high school friend asked me. She sent me an email asking me if her boyfriend was interested in producing my audiobooks, and I said, okay, fine, but that's like over half my income now.
Well, I find sometimes it's a lot easier to listen to stuff, especially if you have a long commute or something. And like audiobooks are a great way to fill it, especially if you're tired of putting the radio on and hearing the same 4 songs over and over again.
God, yeah. No, but I got so lucky with them because my audio fans, they love John Sleep's performance.
Yeah, like one of the things that I get depressed when I see someone put something out and I'm like, oh, I want to check that out, and then it's not an audiobook. I don't know why. I used to read, I've read like almost every book in the Dragonlance series. I've lost count of the number of Forgotten Realms books I've read, Dragon Realms, and all these other things. And anymore, I find it so hard to just sit down and read a book.
Yeah, me too.
Depressing.
Sad, considering my profession, but same thing. There's only 24 hours in the day. Like you said, audiobook, you can play that while you're driving somewhere instead of listening to the radio. You can be doing other things while an audiobook is playing, where it's difficult to wash the dishes while you're flipping through a real book.
I want to thank Fantasy Grounds for another super chat. And my advice is learn to DM and players will come. That's true. It is much easier to get a game going if you're the DM. There's always more players than there are DMs out there. And, back to what we were talking about audiobooks, you're right. Like whether you're, running the vacuum cleaner, doing house chores, doing yard work, it's so much easier to, put some earbuds in and listen to a book, while you're at the gym or whatever, than it is to read while you're doing other things. Some people have jobs where they don't have to, there isn't a lot of detail involved. And they can kind of listen while they work, which is nice. I used to drive a truck for a living, used to do heavy construction. And I would have an hour commute back and forth just to the yard. And then from there it was anywhere from an hour to 2 hours to wherever the job was.
I was just about to bring that up. I've got, every now and again, a fan will send me an email saying they're a trucker and they love listening to the books on the road.
Yeah, it's great. Especially like the trucks that I drive were noisy and loud. So instead of listening to that, put some headphones in, listen to a book. And, with a minimum of 6 hours of driving a day, I would drive as much as some people would just work. And that wasn't even counting like on the job stuff. So I would get through podcasts and books really fast. And then my job was I would actually drive a truck on the job. So I could be listening to stuff for like 11 hours a day easily.
Wow.
Yeah. So with that in mind, like even listening to, podcasts and radio and books, you need stuff to just switch it up.
Sure.
That job was a lot of like, hurry up and wait. So, well, you probably, you guys, you drive down the highway and you see those guys standing there like, why aren't they working? My tax dollars. They're messing up traffic. And that guy right there is not doing anything. He's just leaning on a shovel. because maybe he's listening, but he might be listening to a podcast or an audiobook. So that's cool. So you said you just recently started with more recently started with making the audiobooks.
Well, not too much more recently. I think it was about maybe a year and a half gap from when I published the first ebook to when I put out the first audiobook. So it didn't take me too long to catch up, or catch on. But yeah, that's something I should have been doing right from the get-go.
Well, there you go. See, there's a lesson for you guys if you're going to be self-publishing and putting books out there. Get the audiobooks out right away.
Sure.
And you will sell more books that way. So are they all ebooks, or are they also, can you buy the physical book?
Most of them you can buy the physical books. Actually, I guess all of them. Yeah. When I write the like the novels, that's in paperback, Audible. And then after I write a novel, I'll do 6 individual short stories. The individual shorts are not in a physical book, but then I bundle them together in collections called D6. So I've got D6, 2D6, 3D6, and the D6 collections are available on Audible and paperback as well.
So whether you want to physically read and hold the book, or you want to electronically read the book, or you want to take it in through audio, the options are there.
Correct.
Brian Smith, I wonder how big the market of trucker D&D players is. It depends what kind of trucker too, because a lot of those guys are always all over the place. So it'd be really hard for them to have a dedicated group.
Yeah, there's probably a lot more maybe former players.
So our chief and nerdator Doug has a question: is it better for his pocketbook to get the digital compared to the physical ratio of profit better?
Oh, I don't know. I'd say it's probably about the same, except the first book, because I've got that priced. The ebook is 99 cents just to suck people into the series.
I thought I heard somewhere is that when you self-publish, you made more off of the ebook than you do off the physical book.
It depends on how you price them.
Oh.
Actually, I probably do make more off the ebooks because I think I recently dropped the price of the physical books just to move more of them, because I'm more concerned with there being a bunch of these books on people's coffee tables and bookshelves, so that their nerd friends can come and see that in their living room and say, "Ooh, what's that? I must learn more."
Marketing. Brian Smith, Theater of the Mind over CB radio. That might be fun. It also may lead to accidents as well.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if that's a great idea. Someone else said about rolling into AJ said they could roll into Adventure League games. I guess you could do that. I'm just kind of looking through the chat real quick here.
Okay.
So if you were to abandon these characters for a little bit or go off in another direction, would it still be fantasy, or would you do something else, maybe sci-fi or something?
Well, like I said, the Authors and Dragons group and I are doing the Shingles series right now, and that's my first book in the series. The Ghost of Hooker Alley is more of a, I guess, supernatural. It's a bunch of horrible stupidity in a modern setting with a
would that be like
a natural element of a ghost of a hooker?
Would that be like a urban fantasy or horror?
It's meant to be comedy horror, yeah.
But ghost hookers. I see we're staying classy.
Yeah, I've got a brand to keep up.
I totally get that. That kind of makes me think of, oh man, I think it's called like Alpha Blue or something, but it's a sci-fi role-playing game.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of, I think it's kind of inspired by the OSR movement, old school
All
revival,
right. Okay.
and it's like all the covers are always like pretty trashy. So, um, so if you were to find another gaming group, what would you want to do? Would you want to play more like D&D stuff, or is there some other areas you would like to delve into?
Nah, I'm kind of a sword and sorcery guy. I'd probably stick with D&D.
Yeah. Oh, we kind of like venture off into different directions, but we always like D&D is like home. We always home
Mhm.
base. We always end up coming back there. So, do you do any GMing, or are you always the player?
I we used to switch. I think you mentioned you used to circulate the responsibility, and my group used to do that. No, I hated GMing. People, I mean, people tell me all the time, "Oh, you write these books. You must be a great GM." But no. When I write a book, I'm sitting there, spending hours to like make sentences that these people are doing, and then at the table you have to be really quick thinking and spontaneous, reacting to player actions, and that's not me.
So your approach even to, I guess, would be even to your books is more methodical.
Kind of. I don't plot. I just kind of run by the seat of my pants and let the characters take the story. But that process is lengthy, and trying to do the same thing at a gaming table and you get really dull really fast.
So Frigginator says I may have to check this guy's books out because of the titles. Ben Evans at Frigginator 100% recommend these books.
Thank you.
So you definitely have an endorsement. It definitely seems like there's a couple people in the chat today that have read your books as well. So you got some fans in there.
Yeah, I put a link on my Facebook page.
Oh, yeah. Well, even some of them I've seen they're regulars. So
Oh, all right, that's neat.
which is kind of the fun part about doing this. Let's see. So Christian Jones, ghost hookers greater than zombie strippers. Where do you go after ghost hookers? That is the question. Keep it clean in the chat, guys. Don't get too crazy on me. This one might be one of yours. I haven't seen him before.
Sorry about that. Whatever it says.
That's all right. The chat goes away afterwards anyway.
Behave, people.
Yeah. Oh, undead pimps? Question mark. Are there undead pimps with you to go with your ghost hooker?
No, but like a pimp dies. So
how many do you know how many books are kind of planned in the shingles? Is that like are they like anthologies where it's a bunch of stories, or
well, it's they're all standalone stories, and this is kind of an experiment we're doing just to see if there's continuing interest in it, or hopefully snowballing interest in it. We're releasing one a month. So when we started here in 2018, I put out The Ghost of Hooker Alley on January 2nd. February 2nd, Rick Gualteri put out Gary's Children, and I think Steve Wetherill, I think he's up next with the Monkey Penis. And
is that like the monkey's paw?
Yeah. And
oh my god.
And so we've got some in the bank, and we're going to stick to that once a month release schedule and keep it going as long as there's interest.
That makes sense.
I'm just about finished with my second one. I don't know I don't know where I am in the queue, but it's tentatively called Terror on Hypo Beach.
Okay, so you're definitely going in a little bit different direction. It seems like you guys are all with like more of like comedy, horror.
Yeah.
So do you guys all kind of write in a similar vein?
Kind of. Well, no, not. Well, I mean, yes and no. Similar. Not certainly not identical.
No, I just mean like
Yeah.
same tastes.
I think so.
So how did this group come together?
Um, Drew Hayes and I were Facebook friends, and he was saying something about his gaming group, and I said, yeah, I commented on his post, and I said, oh, I envy you for having a gaming group, and he said, well, it's not like we don't physically meet around a table. It's we play online, and I said, oh, that's interesting, and so he and I started chatting privately, saying, what if we're pretty funny guys. We're writers. What if we played this online and recorded it? We could make it into a podcast. And we reached out to some other similarly minded author friends, and that's the story.
That's the origin story.
Yes.
Elfbait says R.L. Stein for big kids.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's Shingles.
Nice. So how long has that been cooking?
It seems like forever, because I wrote the first story and we waited this long to publish it, but it's probably like maybe 6 months or something.
Okay. Well, I imagine to do one a month, you guys would have to have some lead time in order to for everyone to get their first one done so you can do the release.
Well, there's that, and we also need to give our cover artist time. John Luther Davis, he's done quite a bit of work for us in the past, and we love his art, and so he's doing all our covers, and he's actually starting. Wait, no, I better not. I don't know if I'm. Oh no, we've talked about that. So he's also doing the Authors and Dragons comic book that's in the works.
Oh, cool! You guys have a comic book in the works.
Yes.
So do you roughly know how many episodes you guys have put up on the podcast?
I can find out right now.
And I guess while you're looking that up too, what kind of stuff can people expect to find on your website?
Let's see. Not much. I used to do a blog, but that's kind of fizzled out because I just wasn't keeping up with it. There's the books. There's some fan art, and there's a bunch of crap. Not much. And,
I know, like you have a page with like I guess it's maybe fan pictures and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
I really should do more with the site. There will be some new Caverns and Creatures merchandise coming down the line at some point, so that'll be on there. Let's see. Authors and Dragons.
Are there writers that inspire you?
My big one was Douglas Adams. I used to carry around this giant, like leather-bound Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. People in school thought it was a Bible. They thought I was super religious, and it kind of was my Bible.
I was going to say they might not have been wrong. It was just
We're nearly at 60 episodes. I think we might be at 58 or 59.
Okay, so you guys got a lot of comics to get put out.
Yeah.
Who's doing the writing for the comics?
I don't know. I haven't been following that production process very closely. That's other guys are more hands-on with that.
Not it. Well, that's pretty cool. That's kind of exciting. When is that? When do you know when that's supposed to be coming out?
No.
Or is that in the future?
In the future.
In the future, there will be comics.
Yeah, that's as much information as I know.
Zach Lilly, a bunch of crap. That sounds like the site I would run. But upkeeping the site's tough anyway. Plus everything else you do. We have a website with like 1,500 articles on it or something. Some crap.
Wow.
So I know it is a lot of work. Thankfully, in these days, we actually have a chief and editor and a fairly sizable writing staff that all volunteer their time to keep cool things flowing over there. But in the early days, it was us making videos and writing articles and doing everything ourselves. So
Yeah, this is my writing staff right here.
yeah, which it becomes a lot of work. So we're coming up on the hour mark. What do you want to? What were some final words you want to leave the folks with?
That's I don't know.
Buy some books.
Yeah, buy some books. Put me on the spot.
No worries if you don't have anything profound. That's cool.
Yeah, I have absolutely nothing profound. But yeah, if you're interested in gamer-based comedy, yeah, go check out the books. Check out the podcast, Authors and Dragons, and take a look at my Facebook author page. I do some goofy, inappropriate gamer-related memes on there.
Oh, nice. So you guys can, as always, you can find all the links in the description, social media stuff, website, Amazon link. I think I linked to the podcast page off your website so people can find stuff real easy, or either that or the very first episode of the podcast, one or the other. But you will get to it one way or another if you just go to the description. I want to thank everyone for hanging out with us, and thanks for coming on, Robert. Really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me. This has been fun.
So until next time, guys, stay nerdy.
So long.